Hi, welcome back to my touchpad series. This is conditioning. So the first thing I like to do with a dog, obviously, is get them conditioned to a touchpad. So I just want them getting on there, getting their two paws on there, getting those two paws stationary. Now I do things a little different from most people. So most people start with a raised, I start with something that's fairly flat. But what I do is make sure the surface of it is totally different from the surface it sits on, so it's still very obvious to the dog that is different, and easy for the dog to understand that that's where they should be. The only reason I really like the lower one is the dog doesn't have to worry about stepping up. So you often will see a dog hesitating, especially if they're a little anxious or nervous or lack confidence. They hesitate a little bit, and it can take a little bit of manipulation and patience to get them up. I like to get a dog up there so they begin to understand what I'm asking from them from the get-go. So I feel this, for me, accelerates training, and that's what I like about it. The other thing I do is I don't reward for 1 foot on. I will only reward if he gets 2 feet up there and those feet are stable and still, and then I'll reward him. A lot of people, again, will reward just for 1 foot touching, and then they'll get 2 feet up and they'll reward for that, and then they'll worry about the dog being still. I want 2 feet up there straight away, and I want them being still. Again, I want to bypass all the little bits coming up, and I just want that because that's the end result. So again, for me, it just helps accelerate training. People will agree, people will disagree, and that's fine, but that's how I do it and how I like to do it. And the other thing I like to add, because I like to do multiple things at one time, again for the acceleration, is the dog will only come up on this when I allow the dog up on this. If the dog starts going up on that because he understands he's going to get a treat, then I take the dog off, correct them, and bring them back up again. So that, whatever dog I'm working with will only come up on the plate when I give them permission or give a command or guide them, and they'll only come off for those same reasons, only because I get them off. So the dog has to stay on there. So what I do is build in an auto stay from the absolute start. So the first time Koji, for instance, gets up on this plate, he will not be allowed off until I tell him it's okay. If he comes off, he'll be corrected and moved back on. And so he'll understand from the very start that his job is to stand there with both paws on there still, and he's to stay there until he's given a command to come off. So I'm immediately going to build in an auto stay, and I'll make him stay there for different times, so I begin to build time as well. Alright, so the thing is to get Koji in. Koji, to me. Good. Yes. So all I do is use a treat, and I just guide him up. And once these two paws are on here, and they're still, yes, good boy, I'll mark and I'll treat. Now I'll just stay next to him because he has already an auto-built stay for things like sit, stands and downs. So he should stay here even though it's a little bit different. He knows auto stay in a stand. And so I'm going to just do that, yes. So he begins to stay on that plate. Yes, good. And I want the feet a little central, and like I said, I want them still. So a foot a little bit off or just barely touching is not good enough. Yes. The other thing I do, as you'll see me doing, is, yes, good boy, is approaching this from all different directions. All right, a lot of people will do the training the same way. So whether it's this or a sit or whatever, if it's a sit, they'll stand in front of the dog and they'll get a sit, or they'll do it from the side, and they'll do it the one way all the time. They're doing plate work, they'll come in at the same thing all the time. I come in both sides of the body and all different angles. I believe in multi-directional training no matter what you're doing. So nothing is a surprise to the dog. It accelerates training, it gets the understanding in there quicker, and in situations where you have to do it from distance or from another angle or another direction or another side of the dog just understands the command. There isn't the hesitation or the confusion. And if you teach primarily just from one side and you need the other side at any time, you then basically have to reteach it. Good, yes. And as you can see, I'm building time by just making him stand there at different things. And I'll just use this to guide him up there, to get those feet up roughly center and nice and still. Good boy. And I'll keep coming in at different angles. Good, yes. For me, I'll change the time he's on there. Yes, good. With me. I'll also every now and again not treat him. Good. I treat a lot to start with, but then I back off. But I'll also, yes, not treat. I'll just give praise or even just a sound. And there he's wandered ahead of me to get up there for a treat. So I've just moved him off. I didn't bother giving him a correction sound there because he was only a fraction in front of me. But I'll just move him off. Koji, now we get a correction sound. I don't want him going up until I tell him. And then I'll just manipulate until those feet are right. Yes, good. With me? And we'll just keep doing this now until he just gets it and gets it and gets it. And as you can see, he's pretty much got it. The other thing I like to do once I start getting it is I'll just move a little bit. Good. So how he came off and I've given a little correction sound. He's gone, oh, I should be doing something. And he's stepped right back on that plate. So that's showing me his understanding of where he should be is really good. And I'm loving the fact that I'm just moving and he's doing advanced stuff here. He's just, yes, he's moving around. So his body, he's starting to teach that rear end body awareness already for me and starting to do some rotations without any commands at all. So that's really good. Now what we'll do is, we'll go off camera now. I'll work for a couple more minutes with him, give him a break, and if he's doing this, getting on this one all the time, we'll come back and we'll start the next one. Hope that helps. We'll see you then.